to happen a lot with the Eagles.
Coming up next, guess who's back in Dallas? Ezekiel Elliott, classic one.
You're really tarnishing the brand.
I called this a long
listen,
time ago.
if you want to be the guy with the categorized takes and screaming at the camera, that's fine. I just need to get some more pomade and worse jokes. Like, we can trade roles.
You had a worse one. You had a bad one today. Joke that the Lakers would win. Totally serviceable in New England. Played all 17 games. He was actually pretty good, bro. I know you're saying he wasn't good, but
3.5 yards a carry.
Well, we weren't a good team. Last 3 seasons, of course, the rushing yards are down. The yards per rush are down. The touchdowns way down. But again, this is the Patriots' fault.
Bro, you see where he got the 4.2 from earlier.
Yeah, I'm going to let this clip play, but I just want to emphasize real fast. I don't think Zeke is that great of a running back anymore. I don't think he's the worst pickup, especially for if the price is right, which I don't know if $3 million is too much or, okay. But I do think that his numbers in 2023 are going to be misleading because the Patriots had a terrible offense with a quarterback that couldn't do anything. So, of course they're going to be able to go after any run game, let alone when Zeke is in there. So I think those numbers can be significantly misleading. Again, I'm not trying to sell and say, hey, this was an amazing pickup by the Cowboys. Zeke is going to set the league on fire. I think that's delusional, but I think using his 2023 numbers is just not really that fair. Under that logic, just look at the numbers of Patrick Mahomes and just say, look at him, Baker Mayfield, Russell Wilson, and Brock Purdy all had better numbers than Patrick Mahomes. So I guess they're all better quarterbacks than Patrick Mahomes, and we know that's not true. So I just think taking a player's stats like that and numbers you need to add a lot more nuance to that.
Exactly.
You had it a couple
I thought we were averaging it.
Tried to slide that in.
Bro, do you consider Dallas? Going all in, bringing back Zeke?
And this is honest.
I would hope so.
Yeah.
I feel like they're all in on making it as hard as possible for Dak to look like a $60 million quarterback.
They're working against him?
I mean, it seems,
That's what Colin
I don't
said.
think they are purposely, but it seems like what is better for him this year or upcoming year than last year? He doesn't have the running game. His offensive line, now I think they know what they're doing with the offensive line, so maybe these young kids they drafted will be good. But still, you would think the offensive line won't be as good, all right? And so, no, they're not all in on winning a Super Bowl. I think they're in danger. If Chicago is good this year, they could be in danger of missing the playoffs because that could mean 3 teams from that division to make the playoffs, Green Bay, and Detroit along with Chicago. So, no, all in. This looks like Zeke. I said they should have got him last year when he could be thunder to Tony Pollard's lightning. But Rico Dowdle, Deuce Vaughn, who's the main back?
Listen, I think
That would be the funniest shirts for like him to wear thunder and Pollard wear lightning and they're like hanging out with each other. That would be hilarious. Sorry.
I am not as worked up about the running back room as you guys are because I don't think they had a very good one last year.
Yeah.
And they won 12 games and they scored more points than won in football. Like that, I just don't.
Against terrible losing
this.
record teams.
I mean,
Pollard was somebody the defenses had to worry about.
I disagree.
I don't
think that. I think Tony Pollard is a guy. I just do. Maybe I'm being unfair. I know that I have a different opinion on running backs than a lot of people do. I just think he's. I think
he's a guy.
I think he's probably the right. I bet next year he'll be the 19th best running back in the league. I think he's a guy. But regardless,
he's not.
Do they have even a guy?
Well, I don't know yet, but I guess I didn't know that Tony Pollard was going to be a guy before he got carries. So I don't know if Rico Dowdle is going to be a guy. But with that said, I expect them to draft a running back. And I think they expect to draft a running back. And I think Jerry screwed up. I think that whole.
It was bad, but
it felt like a moment that an older person has, where they kind of like say too much when
did.
they don't mean to. And
That's what I
that's why
said the
his
other
son
day.
elbowed him. And then their actual GM, McClain, was like, we got a lot of people higher on our board. Like, what the hell did you just do, bro? Like, and so.
But they didn't take anybody. They didn't take a running
Right,
back.
well, I
Because
don't.
they
Couldn't just have
Right,
one.
I don't think it's, well, I think it can
A
be
lot
good
went in
process,
between
right,
their
to be
picks.
like, we like this guy and this guy. This guy's gone. This
Yeah.
other guy, it's not worth second-round pick, and then he's gone. I did like their draft. The BB kid is going to be a day one starter. Guyton has a ton of upside. Nealon, the pass rusher, so will D lineman. One of their few missed draft picks seems to be the first rounder last year, Mozzie Smith. So they try to maybe fix that to a degree. And then the linebacker from Notre Dame, Marist, whose last name Liafau, I might say wrong. I liked him a lot when I watched him this year for Notre Dame. So I like their drafts. And I don't think their running back room is going to kneecap them. But I think Jerry is becoming a detriment. I think the whole, we haven't even talked about it. We want more leaves fall with the CeeDee Lamb thing. Well, more leaves did fall. A.J. Brown just got $32 million a year. So the price of the brick is just going up for CeeDee Lamb. Like, those things to me are real issues. So I'm not, a team that's won 12 games in a row, or 12 games for 3 straight years, I don't think they're going to fall out of the playoffs. But they needed to get better. Can I sit here and make an argument that the Cowboys got better this offseason?
No,
Of course
right.
not.
It's
Like,
still been a bad offseason for him.
I agree. I agree with you on that.
And he's not becoming a detriment. He's been a detriment.
Well,
The culture, it's the clown show.
Well, now Ezekiel Elliott's back. Add some veteran leadership.
It'll help the locker room because obviously Zeke was beloved, but
it'll also help that his final play is the Dallas Cowboys, not him getting pancaked to the center of the earth playing center.
I don't know how much will matter in the locker room. I think it'll be some sort of presence, but he's not good enough right now. Micah's voice is louder than Zeke's, and Micah is actually on the field. And Micah, I think, is bad for the Cowboys culture. And I'm not anti-Zeke by any stretch of the imagination. But I asked my friend who's a diehard Dallas Cowboys fan. He lives in Dallas. And I said, how do you feel about this? How do you feel about what the Cowboys are doing? And he goes, I'm really happy we got Zeke. And I'm like, but like, what about else? Like your team, you guys aren't really making moves. Like what you expect to actually be competitive next season? Like it seems like you're kind of like out of control. And he said, well, can't I just be happy that we got Zeke? And I'm like, yeah, I guess so. But like, you missed out on lots of other moves. Like, what are you doing? Like, you're supposed to be the Cowboys. You're supposed to be competitive. You're supposed to be making moves and be fighting for NFC championships and Super Bowls. And it just like, he was just like happy. And he plays football. He played football, very competitively. So this isn't just like some random scrub or just some random fan. Like he knows ball. And yet he was just like, yeah, I'm happy we got Zeke. And it was just like, is that all Cowboys fans are happy now? Like, if this was the Eagles would be furious if they just if they had the year that they had last year, where they, in their eyes they underperformed, and they know they needed to elevate their roster, their game, and what they did was signed, Sanders back, right? They just got another like older age, past his prime. I'm not saying that Sanders is a scrub, but they just like re-signed a running back that they had let go, and they're like, okay, we got it now, baby. Let's go. Like the Eagles fans would be like, what is this move? What are you doing? And it doesn't seem, that's the one thing that stands out to me, at least interacting with people publicly. I'm definitely obviously more in touch with the Eagles fan base, but the Eagles hold the fans hold the Eagles, feet to the fire. They hold that organization, responsible. They expect them to make moves, and if they don't, they let everyone hear it. The Cowboys fans I know the Cowboys fans are diehard fans. They are just as intense as the Eagles. They care passionately. That's why the Eagles and the Cowboys rivalry is so much fun, because the Cowboys genuinely care, and the Eagles obviously genuinely care, and the fans care, and it's just awesome. It's from my viewpoint, it's the best rivalry. It really is. It's just exciting, and they're always competitive. The Eagles always play the Cowboys tough, and the Cowboys always play the Eagles tough, and sometimes the Cowboys win, and sometimes the Eagles win, and it's just been great. It's been great my whole life, quite honestly. But But I don't know. Is there just like some of this more like Texas, Southern, more like laid backness? Like, because I don't see Cowboys fans being as cutthroat about making moves and improving and holding players' feet to the fire as the Eagles fans do. And that has been the most surprising thing since starting this channel, without a doubt. Without a doubt, I always assumed that the Cowboys were essentially the exact same thing as the Eagles. They're the exact same fan base, but just different colors. You know, that's really what I thought. And it doesn't seem to be that way. Better believe if Jalen Hurts doesn't ball out next season, you're going to have like 3/4 of that fan base fighting to get rid of him and say, draft another quarterback, get Sanders, Archie Manning, you know, whatever. Like they'll be ready to go. Okay. Put that on the flip side of Dak Prescott, who continues to fail for years and come up small in playoff games, and yet they make every excuse under the sun for him. And it's surprising to me. I really genuinely don't understand. I'm still trying to grasp with the more Cowboys fans that I interact with. And honestly, I enjoy. I never thought starting this channel that I would enjoy interacting with Cowboys fans, but I really, really do. And starting this channel, like, I find myself like rooting for the Cowboys because I want the Cowboys to be competitive and be good. But obviously, of course, I want the Eagles to win because I like when the Cowboys are at least competitive because, and I've said this before, my most fun, the best games I love watching are the Eagles versus the Cowboys, and because they're also competitive. And it's fun that the Cowboys will beat the Eagles. It makes me like angry. And it's like, oh, okay, we'll wait until next game. You know, it'll be a better game. You know, like that's what makes it fun. Playing the Giants and the Commanders, who have been awful for years, is not fun. Like those are games that I could literally skip. And if the Eagles beat the Commanders or the Giants, like I can't leave that game feeling like, all right, Eagles won, baby, let's go. It's like, well, yeah, you better have won. How did you only win by 6 points? You kicked 4 field goals? What the heck is that? Like, it's, you know, like when you beat the Cowboys, at least you could be like, okay, there you go. We beat the Cowboys. That's right. Like it just matters more. So it's just more entertaining. It's more fun. And that's ultimately what I root for. And so I can't wrap my head around what the heck the Cowboys are doing with all of this. And Nick's acting like running backs just grow on trees. I think there's a lot of confusion about this. Just because the league understands that they don't have to pay these running backs $100 million a year and that they don't have to draft them first overall, doesn't mean that just great game-changing running backs you can just get anywhere. Can you find average running backs anywhere? For the most part, relatively speaking. But these great running backs that truly have a measurable impact on the game, you can find in later rounds, but it's not just easy pickings. It's not like, we could just get anyone. That's just not the way it works. And so I think there's some confusion just because the running back position has been devalued a little bit. Look no further than Ezekiel Elliott going downhill. If it was that easy, and if all you did was just need a great offensive line or this or that, then like Ezekiel Elliott's numbers would still continue to be great. And they're not. Especially because once you lose a step, all you do is have to lose a half a step and, you know, you're done. So I just really don't know. But the last point that I want to bring up is what Bruce said, and Nick Wright didn't really entertain it, which I thought was surprising a little bit, maybe because Colin Cowherd has talked about it, and I made a video discussing this, is that, you know, there is the belief that the Cowboys, you know, Jerry Jones specifically, they're trying to set Dak up to essentially fail. Fail might be too strong of a word, but not ball out. Okay? And that way, they'll be able to pay him less money. Because for those of you who don't know, when you enter contract negotiations, you get nickeled and dimed on everything. You know, it's a plus minus on everything. And to use the most simplest, dumbest example with big, fat, fake round numbers, you're a quarterback and you throw for 5,000 yards and 50 touchdowns. And you're like, look how amazing I am. Look what I did. You owe me $100 million a year now. And they're like, yes, that's awesome. You did great. Thank you so much. You are worth all this money. But you lost in the first round of the playoffs. And you threw 20 interceptions. And see all these times that you should have throw the ball away? You didn't. You forced the ball down the field, and that led to an intercept. Like, you know, and look, you took a lot of sacks. You're holding the ball, $100 million, can't do that. And so you get nickel and dime. So now, if he doesn't have a great season and just has an average season, they can be like, look, this is what you are. And it also takes some of the leverage away from Dak, because Dak now is trying to be like, look how amazing I am. Don't tell me that I'm doing this against bad teams. If you think it's so easy, you go do it, And now it's like, listen, Dak, if you get all this money, if you get $60 million, we can't build a team around you. And therefore, you're not going to be that good. And he says, no, that's not true. That's not true. Just try. Give me that money. And now it's like, okay, well, how about this? We're going to give you a year without all these weapons, because that's what it's going to be like if we pay you all this money. And now when you don't perform, we're going to be like, see, if we pay you all this money, we're not going to add these weapons. What do you want us to do? You want us to pay you all this money just to not win? That's not how this works. And like the example that I guess I'm just going to keep using again and again and again is, you want to get paid more than Patrick Mahomes, yet you are not as good as Patrick Mahomes, and yet you expect to win like you are Patrick Mahomes. That is not how this works. And I think that's just like such a perfect example, which is why I always use it. So if you're a regular viewer, I'm sorry, you're probably getting sick of hearing it, but it's just a perfect example. Like, I just don't understand. And someone said recently in the comments that the job of the number one job of the quarterback is to reset the market. And that's just not true. That's just not true. I don't hold Dak's feet to the fire for trying to get his money. I really don't. I get it. Get your money. But I can also recognize, and I don't have a lot of personal experience, but based off the wealthy people that I interact with and the people that I trust, which is not very many, this to be very clear, is that there's only so much of a difference between having a bank account that says 400 million and 300 million. Like, it's not that much of a difference. And especially, you're already making millions upon millions upon millions of dollars in just interest alone. So there's just not that much of a difference. Not to mention, if you win, you get more commercials, you get more money on the back end, you get more fame, popularity, more everything. Do you think Travis Kelce would be all over the world, all over the country, on Saturday Night Live, being all super famous, dating Taylor Swift and all that, if he wasn't winning these Super Bowls with Patrick Mahomes? If he was just playing with the Carolina Panthers? Do you really think he would have had the opportunity to even date Taylor Swift? No. I guarantee it. No. Okay? So it's like, go win. Take a little bit of a discount. And I don't know what the Cowboys would be willing to give him. I don't know if they're like, hey, we don't want to pay you $60 million, so we're going to pay you $30 million. Like, I don't know how extreme they're going. Maybe they're just like, hey, we want to give you $50 million. And I don't know what the magic number is of what you could pay someone like Dak and still build a great team around him. But I do know that he is not, and this is what it's reported that he wants, is $60 million. He is not a $60 million quarterback. We have plenty of years of watching him. He is clearly not that. The only little safety net, that's not the right term that I want to use, but the only, hesitation that I offer Cowboys fans and just, in general, is that you can make the argument that Dak never had a true great offensive head coach. I know McCarthy's good, and I've said I think McCarthy's good, but he's not, on the levels of the Shanahans and the McVays. But again, those guys don't grow on trees, and it's like, maybe if he had the Sean McVays of the world, he would be better. But the truth is, he has just not proven to be a quarterback that can overcome any of the limitations within an organization. And if you can't, then by definition, you should not get the most money in NFL history for a quarterback. It's just, you are Kirk Cousins. And I think what Colin says, which is what I love, he's Kirk Cousins with a Nike endorsement deal. He's just a cooler version of Kirk Cousins. And I think that is deadly accurate. I think that is, if you just look at his numbers side by side, and Dak Prescott has played with way better teams and better coaches. He's been with the Dallas Cowboys. What's his face? Kirk had to waste half his career with the Commanders, who weren't even called the Commanders back then, with coaches that are nowhere near the league anymore. those things matter. So I just think it's, pretty interesting. But those are just my thoughts. I would absolutely love to hear yours. What do you think about the Dallas Cowboys? Do you think they have gone all in so far? And what do you think about Zeke and Dak and everything that's going on with the Cowboys? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment. So whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.